welcome to another episode of ISN Nation. I say another episode, but this is a type of format we've never done before. It's going to be ISN Talks, where we talk about a discussion topic, a broad topic. And
thought we tried something new.
Yep. For this one, we talk about Nugu groups a lot. Some of you may not even actually know it. We have explained it a couple of times.
I don't think we've ever explained it, dude.
At least with Nick and I know we have a couple times. You may not have been on those episodes, but
dude,
in those episodes,
I've been on every single episode.
No, you haven't. You missed one.
Did I?
Yeah.
We don't explain it frequently, though.
Okay.
No, not very. I mean, like, especially
and we never really explained it in depth. We just kind of said kind of what it is. Never really told the background of what it truly means, stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. To be honest, when you guys do mention it, it does go over my head sometimes. I will admit, I don't fully understand Nuguism.
Yeah.
In our we have 64 main episodes that we've shot and posted, but I think out of all those episodes, like, we maybe explained it like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and it's never been an in-depth explanation of what it actually means, where it came from, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've kind of just smiled and nodded and just gone, yeah, I get it. But then in the back, I'm like, nope.
So go ahead and grab your tea, grab your coffee, sit down, and give Nick a moment to break it down. Give us a
Mine's gone.
Explanation to go into.
All right. So, Nuguism. The term Nugu, when it's translated, means who, and it's kind of asking a question, as in, like, who is that? Originally, back in Gen 1 and even early Gen 2, it was used as a very derogatory term. It was typically commonly used among idols only. The public didn't really use it, simply because it wasn't really public slang at that point. And it was very much it came from basically where an idol would introduce himself from a small group, and the popular idol would then say Nugu, asking who they are.
Oh, it's like calling someone a nobody.
Yeah, basically, it's calling somebody a nobody and saying that they're unqualified to talk to you.
Wait, so okay, I guess that kind of reminds me of how during Queendom, where when Park Bom first did that to Oh My Girl.
Yeah,
I'm sure she didn't mean it in a derogatory.
No, she absolutely didn't. She was actually genuinely because at first she was like, "I'm sorry, I know I've seen you before, I know of you, but what's your name?"
Yeah, I'm going to assume it's in a similar fashion as that, like how it might be.
So back in Gen 1, early Gen 2, it definitely was not in that fashion.
Okay.
They even if they knew who the group was, they'd say that as a more you're unqualified to talk to me way.
Oh, okay, yeah. Park Bom wasn't like that. She seemed like a sweetheart.
Yeah.
No, she was actually a sweetheart about it.
So that was the way it was used back then. Casually, as Stan Twitter's gotten to become what Stan Twitter is, and the Stan culture in general, we've kind of morphed the term into talking about groups that are very small. They don't have a big following, hardly have a fandom name, get one comeback a year, stuff like that. We've turned this very derogatory term into something in a more categorizing light rather than completely derogatory.
Yeah.
I don't think
when people call themselves hey, I'm a nerd, or I'm a geek. Whatever.
Whereas that used to be derogatory.
Yeah.
It is now seen in a more categorizing light rather than truly derogatory.
They've taken ownership of the label.
Yeah.
So my question is would Twitter then be would Stan Twitter or most stands in general be oh yeah, rookie groups are Nugu, or is it just
rookie groups are very excluded from anything regarding Nugu?
Okay.
So a rookie group would get asked back back in like Gen 1, Gen 2, they would get asked like, who are you? But it wasn't meant to be derogatory. It's simply because the group hasn't been around that long.
Right.
The group name hasn't been there. They might literally have never heard that group before, unless you were a sizable breakout group. For example, I'm sure when 21 debuted, nobody said that to them because they were a sizable breakout group at the time.
Right.
So in terms of that,
same with like ITZY.
Yeah, ITZY too. So in terms of that, that is kind of where the term comes from, and rookie groups specifically are excluded from that list.
Yeah, they get a pass because they just debuted. So
usually after the second year, maybe the first year and a half. After the first year and a half is when we start categorizing them into these groups.
Okay.
Unless you show multiple signs after your first year of debut. So for example, my alt group, SIS, they were categorized, basically put into Nugu a couple days after their 1 year anniversary, because they showed every sign that said they were going to be Nugu. Not a sizable view count, no fandom name in the first year, no light stick, no official concert promotions, one comeback.
Or like Prism.
Prism is a great example too. I mean,
I think it was that they debuted with like 1,200 views in the first month or so.
Yeah. And there are a ton of other groups that you go into that I'm sure if I reference now, everyone in the comments would be like, who? And that's the whole point.
When Jihoon just mentioned Prism, I was like, in my head, I was like, who?
That was the point.
Yeah, but Nick's talked about SIS so much, they're no longer Nugu to me, at least to me, just because of how...
See, that's my goal.
Just because of how much Nick has mentioned SIS. I don't know all the members' names, but, I've gotten to recognize the group enough that I would know who they are, but not the members' names.
Yeah. As far as those things go, the typical a thing that is very characteristic of Nugu groups is 3 digital singles, no mini album. Digital singles by far are going to be the thing that characterizes Nugu groups, because every company wants to put out a mini album.
Right.
Yeah, it's just that digital singles are far more economical to produce.
They're far more economical to produce.
They're cheaper.
They're
cheaper to produce.
And on top of that, you can sell a lot more.
Right.
Because you don't have to make the physical albums and all that. But also, that means you don't have to distribute them overseas, and that means people for example, in the US can purchase them online.
Right.
And so it's super easy.
Right.
Yeah, and with physical albums too, you run the risk of do we make 40,000 copies of this album and only sell 12,000?
Yeah.
And so usually a new group will have a single album as their first ever album. If it sells well, they'll have a single album as their second. Might even have a single album as their third. But if the first album doesn't sell well, it's digital singles probably for the rest, probably until they blow up. If they blow up.
Right.
Yeah.
So as far as Nuguism, do you have any other information for to kind of get the listeners more, I guess, acquainted with what the whole Nuguism is, or is that pretty much covered?
For the most part, it's covered. There are levels that you could go into. I have a whole spreadsheet that's organized all that shit, but basically, a lot of it is based off of the country that you're basing it off of, right?
Right.
But also, it's a lot of it is also based off of album sales and stuff like that. If you actually want to get a true gist of if this group is Nugu, you have to look at a lot of factors, and it's just way too time consuming for that.
Right.
So because when you brought up the country popularity, I remember I've seen that before on I can't remember which forum it was, maybe All K-pop, or if it was on Reddit. Someone was saying why isn't Lovely more popular? Blah blah. Like they're like forever like a Nugu group.
Yeah, it depends on the company or it depends on the country you're talking about because they are popular in Korea.
Yeah, they're like top 5 in Korea.
Yeah,
but globally, like they're top top 20.
Yeah, and so
aren't Lovely's also really popular in Japan too, though?
They are, well, not super popular in Japan. They're popular enough to hold contests there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, looking at that, for example, your level 1 would be groups like Dreamcatcher, April, groups that don't. This is all based off the US, by the way. Weki Meki, From Us 9, those are groups that, regularly get consistent views, consistent album sales. But it's just they can't quite get there to actually having a breakout song yet.
Right.
Yeah, because like Luna's a great example too of like they have a bigger following in the US than they do in Korea.
Yeah. Yep. So like if this was based off like Korean standards, Luna would probably be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'd say from at least what you're explaining to me, like it's not uncommon for it's not impossible for Nugu to break out into.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is completely plausible. So a great example of this, so there are 2 types of breakouts that really Nugus can go through. There is the worldwide breakout. Two groups that are a perfect example of worldwide breakout that were Nugu is Momoland,
okay,
and BTS.
Oh
yeah,
BTS was a Nugu group and a half when they debuted. Nobody knew them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they now obviously are a global breakout.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had like a small group, or a fairly stable growth popularity back in Korea, up all the way up to like 2014 or so, and then like they just exploded globally, like viral explosion almost.
Yep.
I'd say it started for me at least. I didn't start hearing about them till Boys in Love, I believe it was.
Yeah, that's 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the worldwide breakout that kind of can happen to a group.
Yeah.
It's usually song based. BTS is kind of a different thing, but
I mean, they're talented.
Usually it's song based. Like for example, Momoland's Boom Boom.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone knew that song. It blew up everywhere, and so naturally they got a lot more popular. There's also country blow up, which Luna is a great example of that. Card.
And Card is not even just blowing up by a specific country; they're blowing up by an entire region.
Right.
Pretty much a big chunk of South America.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're basically blowing up the entire continent.
Yeah. So.
And that's a lot of that is because of their Latin influence. But also the country blow up can lead into a worldwide blow up. And that's where it gets a bit awkward in showing like if they've really blown up worldwide or if they blow up just kind of in a country. It's like Mamamoo. Right? Mamamoo on debut wasn't as popular as what was expected. They blew up in South America, then they blew up in Latin America. That's caused a blow up in
Southeast Asia too.
Yeah, and then they caused a blow up in Southeast Asia, and now they're globally known.
Right.
Yep.
So
they just couldn't capitalize on that very well.
Yeah, and they did a really good job of that. So when we talk about blow ups, a lot of it is very contextualized because it depends on if we're talking about which kind of blow ups we're talking about. But yeah, in general, that's kind of how that works.
Yeah, because it also helps too, like when the region that you're blowing up in, the reason for your blow up isn't particularly tied to just that region. So for example, like Card, right? Yes, they have a lot of Latin inspired influences with their music, so it would feel natural that they would be kind of targeted towards South America. But South American music in general also already has a global appeal because we see songs from South America that do blow up on the global scene through America, like North America as like the proxy, right?
Yeah.
You get big in the United States. The United States has very far reach with cultural power, and then next thing you know, the song's being picked up in like Ukraine or South Africa.
I mean,
Yep, definitely.
I mean, it like having Nugu's blow up. English, I can't do it today. Seeing Nugu groups blow up like has got to be so reassuring to fans,
Yep.
And it is to some extent. I mean,
Yeah.
I was a Momoland fan before Boom Boom,
Right.
and so seeing that was very reassuring. Like, yes, this group can do it, but also at the same time, it was very kind of worrying as a fan because you're bringing in a whole bunch of new fans, and you don't know how they're going to change the fandom.
True.
Because for example, it could turn into a really toxic fandom really quickly. But also on top of that, like for Momoland specifically, they changed their sound, did a full 180, and that's what caused them to blow up.
Man,
so
like their original sound was
their
different.
original sound was like very like it was very pure innocent sound.
Oh, basically, it's stuff that you've heard before from G-Friend, Lovelies.
G-Friend, SIS, Lovelies.
Yeah.
It was very that
April.
sound.
Yeah. And because with the newer fans, I'm pretty sure most of them don't even know about that. Like the whole.
Yeah,
parody.
a lot of like for example, a lot of Marys don't know about Jenkun Kwang. They don't know about those like Finding Momoland. They've never even heard of the show.
Or even with like a Dreamcatcher, like I'm pretty sure there's a lot of fans who don't know about Minx, which is
And it's
what they were before they were Dreamcatcher.
Yeah, and back when they were very Nugu.
So Nugu, they only had that one release as Minx.
Yeah, and they had to be rebranded.
Yeah.
So I mean, as far as that goes, and honestly, rebrands happen all the time.
Oh yeah.
In Nugu Land.
Oh yeah.
They happen all the time. I mean, we see that happened with Good Day,
Were they
It is
rebranded?
now known as
who is now known as Signature.
Signature. So Good Day was what was it, 6 members, right? And then 3 members from
yes.
Good Day. At least I
6
think
members
around
at the
6.
end of their group.
Yeah.
I think there was more before.
Yeah. So basically, like 3 of the members from Good Day got brought into this new group, added more members. Kind of like at least
Kind of like Kinapia
with like
from
Kristen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So because like with Minx, they just added 2 members and nobody quit. So they added 2 members and became Dreamcatcher with a new focus, going from the more traditional pop to like they're now pop rock focus. So
Yeah.
I mean, I like the pop rock focus.
yeah, I mean it's working out great for
Yeah.
them. So
And I
it's
mean,
adding that variety that we love.
the one thing that I do really like about Nugu groups and like being in that kind of community, everyone is nice because everyone wants you to join their fandom. But also, on top of that, you see some very weird concepts, and you see some stuff that like companies are pulling out that you're like, how did you even think of that? Like,
Pink Fantasy.
what were you like doing? Pink Fantasy is a great
Yeah.
one.
Like,
Yeah.
Because like, who thought of that? Like, someone went into a boardroom and said, what if we just dress one of our members up in a bunny head and say she could take it off after the first win? And the guy, like the CEO, agreed. He was like, yes, good idea. Like, or high school, right?
oh yeah.
With the
High school's
masks.
entire concept is a mask. They wear a mask, and it's not incentive based. They just wear them.
Right. That's
Yeah.
honestly the concept.
So my
And
question for you, Aura, is what is a new group that you're familiar with that's not SIS?
I'd say Gugudon is probably like because I know them through the members that are from IOI. So I know about them. Filmus because is
Because-
freaking Nick's other old,
Nick.
and then a couple of the members from 16 participated on Idol School, and then there's Joe Yuri who also participated in Idol School. I don't know too many Nugus, to be honest. Or if I do know, if I know them, I might know. I might realize that they're Nugu.
I think if I said a few, you'd understand like kind of Nugu.
Yeah.
But it's just you don't like at the time that we were talking about these small groups, you didn't really have a full grasp on what Nugu is.
Right.
Great example of Nugu that I know you just don't know that they're Nugu is Third Eye.
Yeah, I know them, but unfortunately, I didn't
even
know.
that.
Well, they just debuted last year.
And
too.
even that, they're more of a new debut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fanatics.
Okay.
Even though they're still a new debut, they actually are already grouped inside of Nugu, even though they're newly debuted. It's because they have every single characteristic of a Nugu group.
Well, that and too, like they're probably talking about like the subunit from because like the subunit debuted before the actual full group.
Yeah.
So like that was 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. The subunit didn't even blow up. And
No.
Which is unfortunate.
I mean, like you said earlier, Pink Fantasy, you know.
Yeah.
Elris, Busters.
Elris has been around for a while too.
Mm-hmm.
Elris has been pushing through it. They've been really trying to get out of there, and it's a slow process.
I'm trying to remember a couple of the second generation Nugu groups.
So like Stellar, Fiesta.
Yeah, them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I also feel like a few members from like semi-popular groups, like if there are basically I'm going to kind of bring up Miss A because this is an unfortunate example. Because when you go Miss A, who's the first member you think of? Susie,
of course.
I feel like the other members are a little bit in the Nugu category, even though like people know. I mean, you say Miss A, you know Miss A,
but they think of Susie.
It's Susie and Friends.
Yeah. At least from my understanding of the definition, I'm not trying to insult Miss A. I'm not trying to insult them. I still love Miss A.
I mean, yeah, it's quite literally how the group was structured.
Yeah.
The group was structured to push Susie.
Yeah.
And then it was Susie and Friends.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love Faye. She was my Miss A bias, but from a few people I've talked about, they don't know who Faye was, or they're like, "Oh yeah, I know who Susie is. Do you know the other members?" No.
Jihoon, I still have Ball 4 on this list. This is outdated.
Yeah, that's like really outdated.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have even been on there when you first made the list, to be honest.
I mean, I made the list quite a while ago, back before they had like their series blow up last year.
Yeah, but they were already blowing up in 2018 and 2017.
Not views wise.
No, well, for sales wise they were.
Yeah, but this is structured off views.
Yeah, but I mean, like, because they're already like a established group.
Yeah, they were pretty high up on the list.
And plus, remember too, like they're not idols.
That's true.
Like,
okay, so for everyone who doesn't know what's going on in their conversation, Nick apparently has a list of people that are basically Nugu or whatever. So he's kind of talking about that, and Jihoon can see that list. You guys have been talking, and I'm like, I don't think you guys even mentioned anything about an actual list.
I have my outdated list at the moment.
because I was about to say it's not a lipstick list. You know, not the one that Aura has.
Wait, what?
Which, by the way, like me and Nick, our names are probably at the top of that list.
True.
I don't even have a list. I'm gonna have to. I hate you guys.
So Nick, go with your 5 levels of Nugudom. Just go ahead and name off a couple groups, like say 2 or 3 groups, and like what range of music video views that those groups typically get.
Sure. So level 1, Usually these are inside of Nugu land, which is already unpopular, but these are the more popular groups. Usually average more than 5 million views consistently. Groups like Dreamcatcher, April, Weki Meki, From Us 9.
Okay.
Level 2 is kind of semi-popular. They usually average more than 1 million views consistently. Well, Good Day, unfortunate. Very Good, right? Guguden, Dia, Khan back when they were a group. Poor Khan. Level 3 is like kind of barely known. It's more than like 500k group or views consistently.
Right.
So that's groups like Elris, Saturday, Favorite. One of my favorites out of this is Girlkind, Shasha, Miss Shasha. Level 4 is really like, that's really when we're starting to get like you stand small groups. These are groups that average more than 100k views consistently. Groups like SIS, ouch. Fanatics, hashtag, LiQWYD, which is a very small group.
Wait, hashtags isn't? I thought hashtags were more popular.
No.
Hashtag is a very small group. Hashtag averages about the same views, if not maybe a little more than SIS.
Oh.
So the thing I take into account too is that these views are based off of YouTube. YouTube is more
general population. I feel.
Well, it is a very global platform. But in other countries, it may not be as or it may have a smaller presence.
There might be a better platform for it.
Right.
I would say smaller in terms of like, it's like a minority platform. But when I say smaller, like here in America, like you probably watch like 95% of your content on YouTube versus other platforms, right?
Yeah.
Media sharing platforms. But in like, for example, Japan, you have DTV, which DTV probably has about almost the same market share as like YouTube.
Oh, really?
And then in Korea, you got Naver. So.
It's pronounced Naver. I've been pronouncing it Naver. Yeah,
and so for Nick's list, it's built off of YouTube's views because, frankly, it's a pain in the butt to try and collate all of those platforms' views.
And I'd have to coordinate. And if I'm doing all that work, I might as well coordinate album sales plus actual pre-orders plus fan sign. Yeah, it'd be a mess.
Yeah.
So just like what Nick said earlier, his list is built from the perspective of a US
YouTube views
market.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of like level 4-ish, more than 100k views. Level 5 is you probably stand this group because you wanted to say you stand small groups. That is this kind of level, because there's not a whole lot to stand here unless you're somebody that's really far into Nuguism. So this is less than 100k views consistently.
Yeah.
These are groups like Camila, I Love, One Two Dal. I've definitely talked about them on this channel before.
Oh yeah.
A Train to Autumn.
Is Holic still around?
Nah, probably disbanded at this point, honestly. So that's another thing.
Little they're already been disbanded.
Alike, which is already disbanded now. That is another thing with standing new groups, is your group could be disbanded tomorrow and you will never hear a word about it.
He disbanded quietly.
So basically, it's like makes really popular news when a big group silently disbands, because usually something's up.
Yeah.
This is pretty much everyday activities for people that stand a lot of smaller groups. For example, a while back, Alike, which is a group that I stand, they confirmed that they silently disbanded, and at that point, your reaction has to be because there's nothing at that point you could do about it. Something obviously was the issue inside of the group, or plus management or whatever. But because the group is so small, they didn't deem it worthy to tell the fans.
Yep.
And that usually comes with the poor management of the company. So, that was a great segue as well into that. the struggles of Nugu groups and silently disbanding and members randomly leaving, but also they don't tell you anything. For example, we are anticipating Girl Kind's comeback this month. They're apparently now a 4-member group. They were 5 last comeback. I don't know what happened to Sanjay. She's just gone. They said nothing about it.
Well, plus, didn't another member leave like a couple years back? 2018, they had a member leave and one joined.
No. So, okay. This is weird. So, they were a 5-member group, but pre-debut, somebody left. And then they brought Ellen in right before debut, so she didn't even sing on the track because they couldn't re-record it in time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then, for those who are wondering, this list that they are talking about, it is comprised of girl groups, and we've been talking about a lot of girl groups, mainly because there's a lot of groups. I know that there's, for a boy group, I think C Clown is probably in the Nugu area because they disbanded after 3 years.
So the general consensus with Nugu groups is, so keep in mind, the Nugu groups we talked about today probably is about half of the actual things that are on the groups that are on my list. It's the usual consensus for boy groups is for every one Nugu girl group, there's 3 Nugu boy groups.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot.
And that's because Nugu boy groups, there's a lot more potential for boy groups to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
So, in general terms of that is why this is comprised of girl groups at right now. Also because I've had this list for a long time.
Yeah, and like I think part of that too is the BTS effect as well.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people saw what where fangirls can propel your group to.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you look at the top, like if you look at the top, I want to say 10. Most of the top K-pop groups are male. Twice being an exception. Blackpink might be the exception for maybe Western markets, but if you look at like Korean markets, it's mostly boy groups at the very top.
Yes, it was the BTS and then EXO.
Monster X.
Naturally.
Monster X and then...
Twice is the female one.
Yeah, so right now, a lot of the reason that girl groups aren't being produced is the general consensus is it's more work for the management company. But also on top of that, it is there right now there's no girl group market in the Western world that is sizable enough to warrant making all these massive amounts of groups.
Right.
Like, obviously, we look at boy groups, we look at BTS.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, and we see, this is how they structure it. If we just do that, copy and paste, it should work.
Right.
Yeah, and for the longest time in the Western market too, pop groups had fallen out of fashion. Like you would have like maybe 1 or 2 active.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that's why BTS was able to blow up, because we haven't had a boy group in the US market for so long.
Not since what, One Direction? And how many years ago was that now?
It was a minute ago, and even that it was a controlled explosion.
Yeah,
they weren't even really all that like super popular.
Yeah,
right?
And so the last real blowout like big boy group that has really been in an American boy group that people know of at this point is NSYNC. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's like...
And people my age, for example, don't even remember it.
Yeah, because like, when did they disband? Like early 2000s?
Yeah. I think they disbanded when I was like...
I thought they disbanded in like the late 90s. I don't think it was even 2000.
No, I was born in the late 90s.
Okay. Hi, puppies.
Yeah, and like as far as like girl groups too, I think there's like one active US girl group. and then before them, like the last like girl group I could remember hearing about was like way back in the day with like Destiny's Child when Beyonce was still part of that.
Camila
and that's like late
Cabello's-
90s, isn't it?
I'm trying to remember Camila Cabello's group before she went solo.
Spice Girls.
I don't think it's Spice
Is it
Girls.
Spice Girls?
No, Spice Girls was way before Destiny's Child.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Anyway,
Yeah.
but that's because America has shifted to a more soloist focused
Right.
kind of mindset. But also it's easier to make money, it's easier to manage, and you don't have to split shares with people inside
And-
of a soloist focused
Exactly.
mindset.
Also, going into culture theory, when you study about cultures and whatnot, there is a general kind of grouping between like that's usually between like East and West, right? Where in Asia, in the East, it's more, they're called collectivist cultures, where they value the harmony among the group more so than the individual.
Right.
Whereas in the Western world, they're more grouped as like individualist
Yeah.
cultures, where it's more about the individual success and rather than the whole group. So I think that's another reason why too, like soloists are just more in the Western world than groups.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, in general,
Right.
And just
It's
like
just easier.
what you talked about with Miss A, right? Where kind of you have the group, and then there's that one member that's known. That tends to happen in Western groups as well.
Right.
Because with NSYNC and like Destiny's Child, they had that one loyal member who went on to have like a super successful solo career.
Yeah, like Destiny's Child was Beyonce.
NSYNC with what's his name, Justin Timberlake. So
Yep.
Yeah. Like you still see certain members still active that are out of the groups more often than others. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate, but it happens.
So then for BTS, in the American market, do they have one particular member who's standing out amongst the rest, or is it actually a bit more evenly split?
It's evenly split, but it's definitely sided.
Yeah.
Usually, from what I see, the members that stand out the most inside of the American market is Jimin, Jungkook, and Taeyong.
So it's actually that actually makes me feel a bit happier, because like the fact that you're able to name off 3 names, is already a good sign.
Yeah, I would say definitely there. I mean, everyone has some people have more of a fandom than others inside of that. Jimin is definitely the most popular member in BTS at the moment inside of the US market.
At least from what
from
statistically, right? Yeah, like from what you've seen statistically, or just talking to people in general. Like,
it's just talking to people right now. There's no actual statistical data. I mean, we would have to pull a lot of armies to get real statistics on that.
right.
We're not trying to start a civil
Yeah,
war.
no.
And I'm not trying to do any of that.
It's just
Yeah.
like a common bias kind of thing from what you've seen.
Yeah, like from what I've seen of U.S. armies, a lot of them are Jimin biased.
Yeah.
So
Jungkook also shares a portion of that, but
I mean, don't get us wrong. Like, all the guys are very talented, and they're probably popular with other members or other like parts of the fandom too.
and in other regions.
Yeah.
So going off of all of that, right? That's kind of the reason why we have like Nick was saying, like a 3-to-1 ratio of boy groups to girl groups, and especially within the Nugu realm, they're all trying to be like the next BTS, basically. Especially for this current generation of upcoming groups.
Yeah.
They look up to BTS and their success, or they may look up to before them, Big Bang.
I mean, like I've seen like a lot of past generations who are coming out into the U.S. market that go, the third generation, especially like BTS, have been doing an amazing job at paving a way for artists here in the US, or even in
Yeah, 'cause
or
like,
in the Western market in general. Like I'm sure anyone that is trying to get into like the Latin market, they're probably going, you know, Card is doing an amazing job paving a way for them.
Yeah, because I think like 80s is a good example. You know, that boy group. It looks like 80s is like getting bigger in the Western market, or at least in the American market.
Right. I mean, and then a lot of I've also heard in a few interviews, like people are also going, you know, Psy. He was a way to break everyone into it as well. Especially that's how a lot of people I know got into, at least have an idea of what K-pop was.
Yeah, because on Reddit there was a post about that, asked about that, like, hey, how did you get into K-pop? And like the number one upvoted comment was Psy.
So what was it, Gentleman, or was it
Nah,
Gangnam
Style.
Gangnam Style?
Yep.
Yeah.
Gentleman was his follow up after.
Yeah,
that.
and I don't think that one blew up as well, but it's still got a lot of views.
big.
It was still big.
Yeah, it was still really big.
So, I mean, in general, yeah, that's kind of why we're really talking about girl groups here specifically. Is it just makes for a more condensed conversation,
Well,
rather than saying like X number of boy groups here is,
yeah.
you know, Nugu here.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, there's also another saying too, that for every like successful group, there's like maybe 10, 15 Nugu groups that follow.
Oh yeah, like my list here that is not complete.
Yeah.
Like I am sure I am missing a ton of groups. Facts, I actually know I'm missing a few.
Which I'll screen cap it too. I'll put the image on the screen as well for this list. Just, as a reference.
Just do
point.
keep in mind also this is not up to date.
Yeah.
No, it's not up to date, and
I'm sure I have a few people to adjust in here realistically. Like this also, by the way, does not include disbanded groups. Well, didn't at the time I made it.
Yeah, because
like obviously
Lip
like
Bubbles on there.
Lip Bubbles on there. So, you know, so at the time I made it, it didn't include disbanded groups. And so as far as that goes, you know, so there's if we included disbanded groups, the list would be huge, because I'd have to go back all the way to Gen 1.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And finding Gen 1 Nugu groups is hard. Like, I've tried. It's hard because there wasn't a ton of documentation on them.
No.
Yeah.
It's not like today where we have smaller talk shows that really help Nugu groups so much. By the way, ever since the second US Hollywood, the fourth global Hollywood has came in, dude, the ability for Nugu groups to get their content out there is insane.
Especially with the internet now, having the internet. Like,
yeah, because there are so many talk shows that are just almost dedicated towards Nugu groups at this point.
I mean, there's also a YouTube channel. We use it quite a bit. Super Sound Bugs. That is a great place to find.
Oh my god! Yes,
Nugu
thank you
groups.
for that.
Thank
you for that.
We'll link them.
Yeah, not sponsored, but shout out.
Yeah, we'll link them down in the description if you haven't seen anything. But like Super Sound Bugs, you'll also see some favorite artists like Park Bom.
Yep.
Isn't she on there as well?
So the thing about Super Sound Bugs as well is that usually for this show, we a lot of what we talk about are like with idol groups particularly, but we do like to mix in some other non-idol artists.
Yeah.
So, you know, Super Sound Bugs is a great place to discover like non-idol artists.
Yeah,
you know?
It's very similar to Wonder K, just for smaller groups.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, no.
it's there's a nice kind of dynamic to the flavor, right, of the music, because on Wonder K it's much more pop oriented, much more mainstream oriented. But if you want something that's kind of a lot more different, Superbugs has a lot of great content for that. So
but yeah, no. And then I know how Nick.
Genie is another
Yeah,
one.
Genie's a good one. But
Yeah, and they're like the talk shows and other variety shows that I'm talking about, like Fact and Star.
Fact and Star. Oh, I love it.
Fact and Star is perfect for smaller groups because it is not a big setting. It's not dedicated to having like an audience. Like the audience is literally outside the windows.
Yeah, it's like glass windows off the
And
walls.
you could literally just show up and watch.
Yeah.
And so as far as that goes, it's so helpful. SAS has been on there a few times. That's how I know about them. And
Arirang TV is
Arirang TV is also great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, like the outlets for Nugu groups now is so much easier, and the documentation is so much. There's so much more documentation, and especially K profiles. K profiles helps a ton.
Yeah, they're getting a
finding new
lot
groups.
more like disbanded groups on there, new groups on there.
Yeah, they're becoming far more dedicated. They don't have everyone, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they're working on it, and the fact that they're like increasing their production for getting profiles out there is really good.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, they're even making the top of the search list now instead of like Wikipedia.
yeah.
Because like you type in a group's name on Google, and what's the first like result? The very top result that comes up is usually K profiles.
Yeah. And then with these Nugu groups, having a fandom is so important from what I'm understanding.
They're the lifeblood.
Yeah, it's like for those who are part of big fandoms, sometimes you get lost. It's accepted. It's part of how it is. But with Nugu, this is something that Nick can probably contest to. You're more well known in the community. The members might even see you a little bit more often. Like if you post a comment, it might not get lost in the millions of comments going by through a V Live. You'll see your comment actually linger for a bit.
Yeah, so the great thing about the thing I always equate like kind of Nugu fandoms to is if you're in a fandom like once, Revel Love, stuff like that, it's like living in New York City.
A big city, a gigantic city.
It's everybody's there. Everybody's having a good time. Everybody's trying to live their life. If you stand a group, I don't know. I'm a pick on SAS because they're my alt. If you stand a group like SAS, if you're a Millie, it's more like living in a small town.
Small town. Everybody knows each other.
You know each other. Like literally, I'll see in V Lives like Korean Millies, and I'll know their name because I've seen them at the V Live enough, and they'll know my name.
Right.
And I've seen before on SISV Lives where Guile is like, oh hey, whatever their name is, welcome back. Yeah. I saw you here last time.
Right.
Yeah, they'll remember you.
They seriously do. Whereas you might not get that very same interaction from somebody like Sana from Twice or Wendy or any of those people because their fandom is so large they can't just remember everyone. It's hard to remember 3 million names, but it's a lot easier to remember 3,000.
Yeah.
And so as far as that goes, that's kind of why I like these small fandoms. I'm still a part of very large fandoms.
Yeah, I mean, we're not saying again. This topic is about Nugu. We're not saying being a part of a large fandom is a bad thing. Heck, I'm part of 3 of them for my olds. So for my olds, I'm part of 3 really big ones: SNSD, ISN, and Twice. And it's not being bad.
So I mean, as far as that goes, it's just. It feels like a lot. It feels like you're a lot more at home. It feels like, the fandom cares a little bit more, And it's really not that the fandom cares any more than, Revel Loves or any other fandom. Every fandom cares to their heart's content, but it feels more personal because you're literally interacting with people that and you might have messaged before. You might have just seen on V Lives or on Discords or whatever.
And you also have a bigger hand in shaping your community.
Yeah, and quite literally. So like, Makestar is a lifesaver.
Yeah.
If you don't know what Makestar is,
yeah. Okay.
yeah. So if you don't know what Makestar is, basically it is a crowdfunding platform for smaller K-pop artists. It is primarily used for Nugu groups and groups that are doing like pre-orders. So like I think Card is on there when they come back every time, even though they're not really Nugu.
Nick is probably paying like half of his paycheck to as many groups as possible.
I was waiting for that. Actually, by the way, I was just thinking about getting Girlkind's Makestar, so thanks for that.
Just throw him under the bus.
Yeah, of course.
Just throw Nick under the bus.
So
I left that one for you, by the way, Aura.
So for Makestar's a lifesaver because it allows, it's a crowdfunding source, and if you don't meet the goal, because companies set their goal of how many dollars they need to raise, if you don't meet the goal, you get all your money back. It's 100%, it's all or nothing. But if you do meet the goal, you get a comeback, you get anything you paid for in the tiers, because there are different tiers that you can pay for, and you get different rewards for such.
It sounds very similar to whatchamacallit, Patreon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is basically the Nugu K-pop version of Patreon, yeah.
You were about to say
You don't pay
Patreon,
monthly,
weren't you?
Yeah.
Except you Patreon, yeah.
It is Patreon. Except you don't pay monthly. Instead, you just pay a one-time payment. Prices can get a little weird because it's all in one.
Yeah.
And then it gets converted to USD. So prices can get a little weird. But in general, it's pretty alright. It's pretty manageable. I've participated in all 3 of SIS's comebacks. And I'm currently waiting on the rewards for this one. Although that was back in November. That is the thing that also hurts a little bit with new groups. If you order something from said company, it's gonna take a while to get to you.
Yeah.
It's just they don't have a system like JYP or YG does, where
you
order something, it's gonna be at your door next day.
Or if you have to wait for it to be shipped, it might take a little while longer, but it is what it is.
Also, the albums are very exclusive when you can get them. So, like, for example, the SIS album that I have coming for their next comeback is going to be a signed album.
Yep.
That's extremely rare. The only place you can get signed albums are Makestar and fan signs for SIS, because they don't sell them. It's just not a thing that Nugu groups can afford to do.
Yeah. Looking at the time right now, let's give a recommendation of some new, like 1 or 2 Nugu groups that you think people should actually follow. That you actually.
It's like you read my mind, because you took it exactly where I was going to go. So, all right, yeah, I'll start. My 3 groups that I would recommend is Saturday. Very funky, fresh pop group.
All right.
Elris, who has a very cutesy, lovely, but also can have a kind of like a COC kind of vibe going to them as well. And Third Eye. If you really like those hard-hitting girl crush type concepts, Third Eye is it.
Okay.
So, who's next?
Let's save Nick for last, because we need to save our Nugu member for last.
Right.
So I don't have much, so I'll say Gugudon and hashtag. I love Gugudon because, well, some of the members came from IOI, and then I'm going to say hashtag because, oh my god, I love their songs when they first debuted. They were absolutely amazing, and that's why I was so surprised when you guys said that they were on Nugu. I didn't know that they were on Nugu. So go check out hashtags. Oh, Fanatics too. Check out Fanatics. Those are my 3.
Appreciate that.
Those are my 3.
You're helping me out a lot here.
All right. Go for it, man.
All right. Well, first and foremost, definitely check out Girlkind. They're gonna have a comeback in April or whenever this comes out. They've already had their comeback. Definitely go check that out. It's really great. Definitely one of my top groups. They are kind of they're more. They have a flexible style. They're very versatile. After that, definitely have to give it to 1-2-Dal. Yodudal is I reference them as Yodudal and 1-2-Dal. It's the same group.
Mm-hmm.
Yodudal is definitely a indie kind of acoustic kind of vibe. It's a duo, and their voices are amazing.
Yeah.
And after that, I have to give it to Favorite.
All right.
Favorite is kind of a Latin influence kind of group.
Yeah.
They've also done some other versatile things. They recently had a comeback, I think right before 2020, maybe right after 2020. And that was a little bit different, but definitely go check them out.
Yeah.
I'm mad I couldn't give it to Erisu, but
Yeah.
unlucky.
Yeah. I mean, since you said that they're having there's a Girl Kind's having a comeback in April. We're recording this like at the very beginning of April of 2020. So yeah, just saying, if we end up releasing this 5 months down the line, oops.
Yeah.
It got lost somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, we're recording this, but check out these groups. If they keep on releasing music, check them out.
Yep. There will also be, hopefully in the description somewhere, a link to my spreadsheet.
Yep.
Just if you need the names for groups, it'll be there.
If the spreadsheet still exists when we post this.
I hope so.
All right.
All right. Should you guys think we should wrap up?
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
Let's-
Wrap it up.
All right. This has been ISN Talks by Idlestand Nation. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Click that bell icon when you want to see when we upload in the future. We have a Discord. Make sure you go there so you can talk about how Dreamcatcher is definitely not Nugu. And also you can interact with us a lot more. We have a Twitter. Make sure you go follow that. And we will see you later.
Bye.